So just have a slight sketch here just to get me started, and still trying to find the length and the width of this. So I'm going to use the vertical angle, and then again these lines going to the left or right just like an isometric sketch, or as long as these are parallel to start off with. So it does have that beginning section to work with, and anything beyond that will give me a little bit of a scale. So even though this part is going to be cut away, at least it's placed up there so you can see how it is in this kind of a wedge shape tapering down. So this part is the base, this part is the height of it, but the height tapers down, so I just kind of sketch that in there. It has a little bit of a three-point perspective thing where it's tapering down there. And this will give me plenty of room for the top, because you can see a lot of that piece, and as long as these lines are parallel from this one to this one, everything should be good. If anything, make them taper in to one another, but a parallel line will make it just as easy. Okay, and just whether you freehand, like I said, I like to use some of the template to help you, but here's the center line for this, just to find the center of this piece, and you can also find the center of this angle, so it helps you align that. And again, using a template just to give a variation. Here it is, just going from the top, if that was on the top. If it goes to the left or right, it just kind of elevates it this way, and it's not perfectly center in this case, so it doesn't matter how you don't necessarily need a center line. I'm just going to go ahead and place one on here just to give me a nice thing, so I can look at the vertical segments of this. And since I already can see this, I'm just going to go ahead and shade some of this. It's going at the angle that it's cut, this metal section, so in other words it's kind of broken up like that into the metal. So I can just go ahead and take advantage if it's a posterized look to it. So let's give me this angle. And again, I can, since it's almost like a stencil, it makes this nice and easy. And it has a little bit of a texture on there, so I can come back in with a little bit of line. But it kind of builds it up pretty quick using that technique. And then coming down a little bit larger, maybe not too large, but getting it there. And kind of estimating where it is, kind of look at it in relationship to the next circle. Let's see if I've got it yet. And do the same idea. Here's the circle, and it's pretty dark. You can look at it if you follow the contour of that shape, seeing where it's connected. Look at this one to get the right angle. Just give yourself some arbitrary guidelines which are kind of parallel to this line, the initial. And for the most part it has a tone, so I'll cover it all up. And then just go back and blend it in a little bit. Find some of these edges that give it a direction, kind of keep them parallel for the most part. Dark to light. So if you think of it as a gradient there, even if I cross over, it's not going to hurt because I know I'm going to make that darker. And you can really bear down, get a dark value in there. And this is actually, the lighting of this is casting a shadow onto itself. So I just kind of curve that in there a little bit. I'll show you how I can do that. I can even just take the template, edge it up here, and just kind of curve it off right there. And it's transparent. Shadows are all transparent, but it gives you that edge to it. So for pretty quickly you have that whole section. And I'll just throw this in here real quick. This contour line, again, thin to thick, and the foreground tapering, so I'm just elevating that a little bit. so it gives you that edge. This has a little curve to it. This also has a little bit of curve. It's not a really hard piece of metal. But again, move your board drawing. This isn't pure white, so just giving it a tone. And just angle like that. It's kind of forcing a little bit of texture onto that. Builds up that side real quick. Some of the detail up at the top, so I'll try that next. This stuff I can take out with the eraser. And building that part up. And if you really look, the basis sometimes goes dark to light, thin, consistently. Sometimes it's inconsistent, and that gives you that edge. This has a rounded edge up here. So I'm just gonna heavy it up here. Find that piece. So you can do it a couple of ways, like I said. Freehand it in there, you can start to see the reflections. I'm just going to give it a base tone. Try to work around it. And it doesn't really matter, it doesn't have to be a complete even tone because it has the texture. You can build that part up so you can kind of see the light values in it and also the reflection from its own shadow, actually. Build that part up. So the part that I didn't struggle with yet is just this top piece. So if I can estimate the overall shape of the top right there, and kind of see where these, there's two panels for both blade edges right there. This kind of goes down, so I just go ahead and build that up. And just give it an ends piece down here. It has a little bit of a shape in between. Tapered piece. And this has a curved part, so it's kind of laying these panels, and then it sets the two set screws there. So you can find a central line for that. Establish a circular part. Gives you that, so it makes it pretty easy once you get that. Just kind of giving it a base tone to show the set screw. This is a Phillips head screw, so it's just a plus sign that's on top of that. it up. This part has a edge to it. 20. Just kind of top to bottom, builds that edge up. This blade's kind of at a tilt, angle right there. That piece. And this section has a kind of like a diamond shaped pattern, so it is a little bit of a tone there. Just going to try a little smooth texture with this. And here you can take an eraser and just give it the highlight. What that is that it builds it up to this piece. These shapes are coming out at you. Builds that texture up. And then it's just a matter of going back and trying to put in some of the detail. Here you can just either use a piece of paper, just like right on there.